someone posted in the group, how do I get these part-time jobs? And this is the answer to that. So we're going to do a mock interview, walking through how this process works. And so I'm going to be playing the role of the person looking for the part-time job. And then Brant is going to be playing the role of the person who is hiring for the full-time job, technically. And then we're going to talk through how to do that. So for starters here, we are actually going to go through what's typically going to happen is going to be the initial phone call with a recruiter. So you're probably not going to talk to the hiring manager or the director of the Salesforce team or whoever it is the first time you hop on the phone. Chances are you're gonna go onto, let's call it LinkedIn Jobs. You're going to apply for a position, and they're going to give you a call and they're going to say, "Hey, we checked out your resume. Looks really good. We'd like to have a quick call with you to talk about next steps." And that's when you're going to get on the phone with typically a recruiter or someone who's in maybe the HR department at the company or a secretary or something like that, who's just doing some interview scheduling. And they're not necessarily doing the hiring. They don't even really want to talk to you about your Salesforce experience other than just checking a couple of boxes on a sheet to make sure they're sending over a candidate for an interview who actually lives up to their LinkedIn profile or their resume or whatever it is. So with that being said, we can go ahead and jump right in. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the phone call. So we're going to assume you've already applied. Your resume is already in the hands of a HR person. And then we're going to move through some of the questions that you might encounter on that portion of the call. All right. So hopping in, Brant, I'll let you kick it off with, I'm answering the phone and we are jumping in with the recruiter.
Good morning, Bradley. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for giving me a call.
Absolutely. So we received your application and resume for the Salesforce admin role. Your qualifications are very strong. The hiring manager is definitely interested in talking with you about this. When would you be available to come in for an interview?
Yeah. Well, thank you first and foremost for that. I do want to point out before we go too much further that I know this is a full-time job and this is a posting for a full-time job. So this may sound a little unorthodox, but I'm actually looking to fill this role as a part-time employee. And I feel 100% confident that I can get all of the requirements that you guys need in a full-time Salesforce administrator done in a part-time capacity. So I have no doubt in that. But I just want to make sure that I don't mislead you or waste your time or waste my time by, putting me in an interview for a full-time position. So first and foremost, I just want to point out that I'm thankful for this opportunity, and I would love if I could get in contact with maybe the hiring manager just for an intro call, because I do feel, like I said, 100% confident that I can knock this out in a part-time capacity.
That's definitely something to think about. It's not exactly what we were looking for. We're really hoping for someone who's available, 8 to 5 to take the requests and such. But it's an intriguing idea, and I'll definitely pass this on to the hiring manager and see if he'd be interested in discussing this part-time option with you. Worst case, he says no, but I should be able to at least get a phone call for you.
Sure. Okay. And if you have a chance to give him a quick introduction, I'm not looking for the, or whoever the hiring manager is, I'm not looking to be paid for the full-time salary. So I just want to point out that I don't expect you guys to pay me the full-time what you have budgeted for this. Obviously, if I'm working part-time, I don't expect to be paid full-time. Sure. I also don't necessarily need benefits. So I know those can be, tens of thousands of dollars. I can handle my own phone. I've got my own computer, all this kind of stuff. So this would be totally hands-off for you guys as far as, onboarding a new employee. Again, I know I can knock this out for you if you just give me the opportunity. So I appreciate you handing my information off, and I look forward to talking to the hiring manager.
Absolutely. I'll see what I can do to set something up for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So that is just a quick pitch on what you can expect. The major pushback points that you guys are going to expect is, number one, this is not the person doing the hiring, right? So when you're on that initial call with the recruiter, they may very well, especially if they're a third-party recruiter, they may very well say, that's just not what I was hired to hire for. So therefore I can't do that. So it works much better if it's an internal recruiter of the company or somebody who's an internal employee of the company. And with small businesses, you can typically find that. So the first thing is make sure you know who you're talking to and how this fits. I would say if you're talking to a recruiter, that's a third-party recruiter, you might just want to see if you can get that next conversation with someone internal to the company before giving too much information, because they might just pass you off and blow your shot for you. So keep that in mind. And if you're talking to someone internal, it's all about getting over these barriers, and the barriers are going to be, that was unusual. We haven't heard that before. So number one, you have to give people the chance to sort of comprehend what you're telling them. So the best thing you can do is explain that you're going to save them money. You're going to get the job done. You don't expect to be paid the full-time wage, all these kind of things that are sort of, especially I've heard this a lot from recruiters where they hear, typically millennials coming in, or they like to at least separate us millennials out, and they'll say that we want the red carpet rolled out, right? And so, here's another millennial calling saying, hey, I know you're hiring for a full-time role, but I want to work not full-time, and you just pay me and give me all the benefits and everything else, and we'll be good. So make sure you draw attention to, there's a huge benefit in here for your company, even before you get to the decision maker. There's a huge benefit in here for your company, and I want to draw attention to why these benefits are here. So if you can get through that call, get to the hiring manager, now you're going to have your chance to really express your value and why you think you can do a better job or do the same job as someone with a full-time capacity. So now we're going to assume we've gotten past that first hurdle. They've actually scheduled an interview with the hiring manager, and we're going to move into taking a call with the hiring manager at this point. All right. Okay, so I'll let you kick things off again, Brant.
Perfect. Good morning, Bradley. Thank you for taking my call.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you guys for being, I'm sure you've been briefed a little bit. So thanks for being so, open-minded, first of all. And I do appreciate the time on the call today.
Sure. And this is an unusual proposal, but I'm absolutely interested to hear what you have to say about it. So why don't you tell me a little bit more about what you have in mind?
Yeah. So what I'm looking to do is basically fill this full-time role that I know you're hiring for, a full-time Salesforce professional. And I have 100% confidence that from the skills that I've developed over the past few years as a Salesforce professional and the efficiency strategies that I've implemented in my work life, that I can absolutely get this full-time position done in a part-time capacity. The reason I feel so confident with that is because I've seen the roles that I've been in the past that are full-time jobs, and I know for a fact that I'm getting all of my work done in far less than 4 hours a day. And that's why I can come to you with so much confidence and say, I've done it before. I've worked full-time jobs in the past where I've only, needed 4 hours in that day to get my responsibilities completed. Mm-hmm. So I do feel confident that, I've seen this before, I've done this before. And I sort of want to be given, hoping you'll take a shot and give me the opportunity to do this in a part-time capacity for you.
So how do you propose in a 4-hour day, how do you propose being able to keep on top of all of the incoming tickets and projects and everything that obviously take longer? Because one of the things is we're time sensitive to being able to roll things out to the enterprise. So how can you speak a bit to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way that I'm able to stay on top of it is, first I want to say that just because, let's assume that I'm working part-time and we'll say it's 8 to 12, we can discuss the exact hours, later, but let's assume it's 8 a.m. to 12. And At 12 o'clock, I'm not completely falling off the face of the earth. I will have my emails in sync with my phone or whatever, communication tools that you're using internally. I will have those in sync to my phone. I'll still have my computer with me at other times during the day. So if there's ever, a fire or something that needs to be dealt with immediately, I will absolutely be there when I am needed. So 8 to 12 is definitely when I'll be heads down, getting work done, available for meetings, scheduled, and all those types of things. But after that, it's definitely not to say that I'm just totally not responsible and not going to be there to help out. So if there's a fire, just like any employee would be after their typical work hours, I will be there to make sure that we put those fires out and make sure that the employees are facilitated and enabled to do their jobs. If somebody can't get their job done, I 100% will be there. The other thing I want to point out are the massive inefficiencies that I'm sure you're aware of with employees in an office, and that I've also been exposed to by working jobs in the past. And it's just your typical inefficiencies of a day in the life of a worker. And when you're looking at an employee who maybe starts at 8 o'clock, but they maybe get into the office around 8:30, and even then maybe they check a couple of personal emails before they actually get logged into Salesforce and get started, or maybe they have a quick chat with a coworker. So we're hoping 8:30 or 9 o'clock they're truly heads down, ingrained in the work and working, and then of course a 1 hour lunch break. But as that can involve stepping out at 11:50 and having a conversation with coworkers about where do you want to go eat lunch and whatever else it is. And then hopefully getting back to the office by 1 o'clock after a quick lunch break, and getting settled again and maybe back to work at 1:15, 1:30. And the same thing at the end of the day, right? It's 4:30 and you just finished up a task and you really don't want to dive in neck deep on another task for the last 30 minutes of your day. So it's nothing against the individuals doing the work. That's natural to not take on another task. So you end up with these massive inefficiencies throughout the day where you might lose an hour in the morning, lose another hour at lunch, lose another hour towards the end of the day. And you could easily lose 2 to 3 hours on an 8-hour day with a full-time employee. So what I am sort of, hoping that we can do here is, at 8 o'clock in the morning or whenever my day starts, I will be heads down. I'm not getting water. I'm not getting coffee. I'm not checking personal emails. I'm heads down for you from 8 o'clock until 12 o'clock. And that means I can get 4 hours worth of work done. So I'm not here to pretend that I can somehow magically get 8 hours worth of work done in 4 hours. I think it actually is very logical and makes a lot of sense once you really break down what's happening. And the fact is, in a 4-hour period, I can stay focused, not get burnt out, get all of my tasks done, and I can get all of that done in a 4-hour day. And again, I think some of those inefficiencies point to it. I also think that I'm very efficient and very straightforward as far as my Salesforce skills go. So I might even add that it's very likely that I'll just be able to work faster than a typical Salesforce professional. So that there's a little bit there where even if it might have taken somebody 5 or 6 hours, I can still get it done in 4 hours because, I've been through a lot of these scenarios before. I've seen a lot of how Salesforce is utilized, and for a number of reasons, I'm very confident I can get this done in a part-time capacity.
Okay. Well, let's talk numbers. What are you thinking? Because you mentioned to our recruiter that you don't need benefits and you're willing to work for a lower salary. So what did you have in mind?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. So what I'm looking for is, without benefits, I'm really looking for something right around $70,000 a year. I'm somewhat negotiable. But I definitely want to stay in that ballpark. I know the market rate for somebody with my level of experience would be around $100,000 a year. And like I said, I'm not looking at sacrificing any of the work that you're going to get done. I'm going to get the exact same job done. So I want to make that clear. But I think coming in right around $70,000 is a fair price. Given that, again, I'm not looking to sacrifice on the amount of work getting done. I'm simply looking to do it in a much more efficient fashion.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this to entice us? I'm still on the fence on whether I want to move forward. It's a risky proposition. We have to refactor how we're structuring the job and such. So before we jump into that, I need some sort of an assurance that this is going to work. So what are your thoughts along that line?
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And I just appreciate you being as open-minded to this as you have been up to this point. So I think that says a lot, and I really do appreciate that. Yeah, so I think something simple that we could do is I could actually, go in for maybe a 2 to 4 week contract period. So no new hire paperwork, nothing to be done there from a new hire perspective. And I could actually draw the contract up for you and the non-disclosure agreements and all those types of things and send those over to you. I want this to be as easy as possible for you guys because you are taking a shot on me. But we could do a contract period, and I could do 20 hours a week, the part-time hours for the next, 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever you see fitting to basically trial me. And we could do that way at the end of the trial period. Say it's 2 weeks. If you're happy with the work I'm doing, then obviously we know this is going to work and we can move forward. Or if you're not happy with the amount of work that I'm doing, we can just cancel that contract at any time. And you guys can continue hiring and taking in resumes while I'm running through this contract. And then worst case scenario, if you don't like working with me or don't enjoy the amount of work I'm getting done, then you can simply go back to the resume stack and start interviewing applicants. So would that maybe be something you guys might be interested in doing?
I think that sounds reasonable, and that's certainly something that I can authorize. So okay. For the longer term aspect, I need to have a few conversations.
Sure.
And I don't want to waste your time bringing you on under contract with no potential for the role,
sure.
Part-time role. So let me do that, and
okay.
I'll get back to you, and we'll see about getting you in for next steps.
Okay. All right. That is perfect. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I do look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking with you, Bradley.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brant. That was spot on. So I really appreciate it. So I hope that gives, that sort of wraps it up. And then obviously there's still room for this to completely, fall apart, no doubt. But if you go through this process iteratively and you do this with 3 to 5 companies, I would say as long as you're picking small companies, like I said, you're looking for somebody with maybe probably in the range of maybe 50 to 150 employees, maybe up to 200 employees, because sometimes they're not all using Salesforce. And then you're looking at companies with a smaller user base for Salesforce, where they're going to be more price sensitive. So when they hear that, we were going to pay somebody $100,000 and now we were going to pay them benefits on top. And you have to keep in mind what benefits are. And a lot of people think, oh, it's health insurance. Yeah, it's health insurance. It's paid holidays. It's 10 to 15 days of PTO every year. So if you look at even 5 or 6 paid holidays, maybe, 10 days of PTO, you might be looking at 15 or 20 days where someone is not working and they're getting paid. And when you're looking at a part-time or contracted resource or something like that, it can be typical to not have to supply those benefits. So when the company's on holiday, that person may not get paid for that day. The other things are, supplying computers, supplying phones for the company, sometimes even paying for your internet access at home and things like that for full-time jobs that are remote. So there's a lot of saving here. So typically speaking, and not to mention payroll taxes. So not to get too deep into it, but companies have to pay payroll taxes for their full-time employees, where technically if you're a W-2 part-time, they'll have to do that as well. So they may not save completely there, but let's assume you are W-2. You're still going to save them in benefits, probably $20,000 a year. And if you're not W-2 and you're truly contracted in on maybe a long-term contract with them as a part-time employee, you're probably going to save them closer to $30,000 a year just in benefits. So if they were looking to pay someone $100,000, the true cost would really be probably about $125,000. We'll go in the middle of those two numbers. And if you come in at $70,000, they know on the back end when they go talk to HR that they are actually saving. It's not 100 coming down to 70, even though on the surface that's what it looks like. On the true factor is it's 125,000 coming all the way down to 70. And if you negotiate a little bit, maybe accept 65,000, they just went from paying somebody $125,000 to paying somebody $65,000. They saved $60,000 by taking an opportunity with you. They could quite literally hire another one of you willing to do a part-time job. They could hire a junior Salesforce administrator at that point to help assist you. They could add a tool like Marketing Cloud or Pardot or something onto their Salesforce instance, or any number of things. I mean, you can imagine what they want to do with their money. So if they can save $60,000 a year for a small company that's more aware of their bottom line. Now, if you're going and talking to a multi-billion-dollar company, they're probably going to go, I don't care. It's $60,000. My budget for this term is $15 million. I don't care. But when you're going to smaller companies, they're going, we had to decide between hiring a new Salesforce admin or a new marketing specialist. And if this guy can do what he says he can do, we can hire both now and we don't have to make a choice. So just keep that in mind. There are a lot of factors that go into making a hire. And you can definitely, I would say, do you have to sell yourself? Do you have to present yourself well? Yeah, absolutely. But to an extent, the chips are stacked in your favor, and you're not looking to make a one-call close here. You're not looking to say, hey, don't hang the phone up until you give me a yes. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to plant a seed with these individuals that says, could this work? We want them to go to bed tonight and be getting ready for work tomorrow and thinking, man, I had an interesting call with that person. That's the first time I've heard that. And you know what? The more I think of it, that was kind of compelling. And then they might go interview a couple other people tomorrow. And then maybe those interviews go bad. And then they go, man, that guy, he was a good fit. And but he wants that part-time situation. But man, I'm sick of interviewing people. I'm sick of people showing up and they have one thing on their resume and they can't even talk Salesforce. Let's just do the trial. Why not? Let's do the 2 to 3 week contract and see if this thing could work. And, anyway, so I know I could go on and on about this all day, but so I hope that gives you guys sort of a window into how this could work. Obviously, you could be asked a number of questions on an interview, but I hope that gives you an idea of what you might expect